Alright guys, I'll be videoing this by myself. We're doing chicken pot pie, so we're gonna start with mushroom broth, I guess, is how I would put it. So we've got probably, how much? I have two 24-ounce mushroom things, so however much that is, I can't do math right now, of mushrooms. And what I've done is I've taken off washed them, then taken off the stem, and I've taken a few and just diced them up, and that's what the base for our broth is going to be. So I'm gonna put these in here, cover them in water, and put them on low heat for about an hour, and we'll be back. I almost forgot to mention, I'm going to put a few star anise seeds and a few bay leaves with this when I put it on the stove, just so you guys know, and some salt. Alright, so what I've done is I've strained out the mushrooms. It's been an hour. I put 3 bay leaves, and you might find that they slightly change their color. So I'm gonna taste this and decide what it needs. I think it needs a bit more salt. When I say a bit, with broths, it means a lot of salt, bit of pepper, and I think this would be really nice with a bit of rubbed sage. I'm gonna stir that in, and just sorry, we had a technical difficulty. Just a tip, any good chef tastes it along what he's preparing along the way, because if it tastes bad at the beginning, it's doubtfully going to taste good at the end. I mean, it can, but you're more likely to succeed if you taste it along the way. So I'm going to get ready for the next step, and I'll be back. Alright, so I've gotten set up, prepared. I've got my mushroom broth, flour. I have half a stick of butter melting in the pot, and we're about to make one of the mother sauces. There's 5 of them, and it's called vignolet. We have a video on 5 mother sauces, and if you're wondering what those are, check it out. So I'm gonna start adding flour to this, about 2 whatever these are. I think will be good. I need a spoon. It's over here. Okay, so I want it kind of dry, because I am going to add a bit of olive oil to this, which does not make it a mother sauce, but still the same concept. So I'm going to grab olive oil and be back. Alright, so I've got the olive oil. I'm going to pour it in. About that much, I think, will be good. It's easier to add flour than oil. One-handed, that is. Yeah, I'm going to add a bit more flour. Alright, so now I'm going to start adding the broth. It sizzles, don't worry, that's normal. Add about that much. Now I need a whisk. I've, forgotten all of the utensils today. turn it down a little bit. Whew, that steam is very hot. Okay, so now that it's done its thing, I'm gonna add some more broth. Some chefs say that when you're making vignolet, you should brown your roux, which was the flour, butter, and olive oil in this instance. I disagree. I think that it tastes better, and I don't know, I just think it turns out better, even though it's not as dark of a sauce. Even though this is supposed to be a darker sauce, I think it looks, well, tastes better when the roux isn't browned. So I'm going to continue adding the mushroom broth, and we'll be back. Alright, so I've got all the, well, not all of it, but I've got the sauce to the consistency we want. So I'm going to move this over here and turn it to low heat. You'll want to stir that every once in a while. Ooh, that pan is still wet from when I washed it. Okay, next is the filling of the pot pie. So, we're gonna put the half a stick of butter that was left lonely from the roux into that. Goodness. Okay, then add some olive oil, about the same amount of butter to olive oil. Then we'll come over here and grab, this is 1 onion. I'm going to let that melt first. So I'm going to talk to you about a certain flavor that mushrooms basically are the only, well, technically it's not a vegetable, but fungus, and they're similar to vegetables, if you ask me, at least. Mushrooms, let me grab these. There's this certain flavor. It's called umami. It's basically, the best way to describe it is the flavor of things that have high protein. And if you're going on a vegan diet, or vegetarian technically, mushrooms are great if you have meat cravings during said diet, because they have an umami flavor, which is unique for vegetables, as I said. Okay, so I'm gonna saute the onions, and I'll be back. Alright, I actually forgot about the quote-unquote lid, I guess, for the puff pastry. So what it is not for the pot pie, not for the puff pastry. It is just puff pastry. This is just, I bought it at the store. Well, my mom bought it at the store, because I'm kind of too young to buy it at the store. Very easily, at least. So what I'm going to do is, this is the quote-unquote pot that we're going to use. And I'm just going to set the puff pastry in there that I just cut a circle from. Well, this is the circle of puff pastry I'm going to put in the oven, because that'll be our lid for the pot pie. And I'm going to put it in a 350 oven until it's done, which I don't remember how long that's going to be. So, we'll be back. Alright, so got it nice and sauteed, mostly at least. I'm going to add about half a tablespoon of garlic. Mix that in. I didn't add the garlic with the onions because usually you don't want to brown garlic. And I'm gonna add a tablespoon or so. Well, I'm gonna add like 3 tablespoons about of the mushroom broth to flavor the onions. Then I'm going to add the mushrooms whose stems made our broth, and we'll be back when those have cooked down, and I'll add the rest of these. Okay, so I've got it cooked down mostly. So the next part, we kind of have to wait for the lid, so I'm gonna check on that. And no, it's not ready. Okay, so we'll be back. Alright, so here is the finished puff pastry lid. Now we're gonna do the bottom, I guess. So this lid is basically exactly the right size for it, the puff pastry, and be sort of aware that puff pastry will shrink when it is cooked. So I'm gonna bake this till it looks done, and I'm gonna what's called dock it, which is poke holes in the bottom so that it doesn't puff up. And we'll be back when that's, well, we'll be back before that's done. Alright, so you have leftover puff pastry. This stuff's expensive. So you want to use it. My personal preference for using it would be a dessert, even as simple as wrapping apple slices in it and throwing it in the oven, to Berries and Stars, which was one of our, well, Berries and Shapes was the name of, well, the name of the video of ours is Perfect Summer Dessert, Berries and Shapes. That's a bit more of a complex one, and you could probably do it with, like, scraps and have that as the bottom. So what we're gonna do next is flavor our filling, well, season more our filling. So I've got some sprigs of thyme that I've washed. It's from our herb garden. I call them herbs because that's how they're spelled, so that's gotta be how it's spoken. Then I'm also going to add, what else should I add? I'm gonna add some marjoram, if I can open it. Dried marjoram, that is. Okay, we experienced yet another technical difficulty. So, I added dried marjoram, then I added some celery seed. And so what we're gonna do next is put a lid over this and let it, the seasonings do their thing, and then we'll be back when that's done. Well, we'll be back when the bottom is done so that we can put it together. Alright, so that's not puffed up. It's nice and thin, because we want the bottom not to be super puffed up so we can put filling in it. So I'm gonna start ladling in this, and I forgot to mention this, but I dropped a bit on the hot stove. Like to put just a layer of non-sauced, like that many mushrooms on the bottom, because I think it just is nice to have some difference in cooking, at least. So I'm gonna ladle this in. When I get it to the right consistency, I'll show you. Alright, so that's about the right consistency. So I'm going to start with a layer of sauce. Set this over here. And put a layer of sauce. Then I'm gonna grab a bigger spoon. some mushrooms. Then a layer of sauce. Then a layer of mushrooms. I actually think will be good on layers. So I'm going to continue layering, and then I'll be... Alright, so I've gotten the layers. I added just a few more. Then I'm going to add the lid. It looks kind of small. That's, I guess, what you're looking for. Then, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Actually, garnish-wise, I'll probably put a little bit of parsley or thyme on top. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And see you next time.